Welcome to this explainer. It's kind of wild to think about, but everyday folks are losing out on literally billions of dollars in potential net worth. And it's not because they aren't earning enough. It's just, well, they're overcomplicating things. Today, we are tackling a topic that stresses out way too many people: building wealth. But here is the absolutely fantastic news. Building wealth, it is not some insane calculus problem reserved for Wall Street insiders. At its core, it's just a series of simple A versus B choices. It's about knowing exactly which path to take when you hit a fork in the road. In this explainer, we're going to look at three very specific crossroads that completely dictate your financial future. And once you understand these choices, everything else just kind of falls right into place. So let's dive right in. Okay, so here's our roadmap for today. We're going to kick things off with the true wealth mindset. Then we'll move into prioritizing your retirement accounts, cover protecting your financial future, and finally, wrap it all up with the ultimate wealth strategy. Let's get to it.
All right, Section 1, the true wealth mindset, the millionaire next door versus the social media millionaire.
So this is our very first crossroad, and it's a completely psychological one. We really have to set our philosophical foundation right here before we even touch a single dollar or look at a spreadsheet. Right now, I want you to take a second and just picture a millionaire in your head. What do they look like? What kind of car are they driving? What kind of watch is on their wrist? If you're like most people today, your brain probably jumped straight to private jets, designer clothes, exotic vacations. But I want to challenge you to separate the reality of wealth from the flashy illusions we are constantly fed online. The psychology of conspicuous consumption is incredibly powerful, but man, it is a trap. True wealth is actually inherently invisible. It is the money that was not spent on that luxury car or that oversized house. Think about it. When you see someone driving a $100,000 car, you literally only know one thing about their wealth for sure. They have $100,000 less than they did before they bought it. Actual wealth is often incredibly boring to look at, while fake wealth, it's incredibly loud. When you compare these two completely different realities side by side, the contrast is just staggering. Take the millionaire next door. This is a person who simply lives below their means. They invest a portion of every single paycheck steadily over decades, really leaning into the magic of compound interest. Their wealth is completely quiet. They have this deep peace of mind because they actually own their time, even though you wouldn't have a clue they were wealthy if you bumped into them at the grocery store. Now contrast that with this social media millionaire. That lifestyle is entirely status-driven and almost always heavily leveraged by debt. It demands to be seen. It's a loud, super stressful existence built on a fragile house of cards just to keep up appearances. If you want to actually build financial independence, you have to choose peace over performance. You have to be totally okay with being quietly wealthy rather than loudly broke. Moving right along to Section 2, prioritizing your retirement accounts, navigating the 401k versus the IRA. Okay, so now that we've got the right quiet wealth mindset locked in, we've hit our second crossroad, practical growth. How do we actually prioritize where our savings go? Well, this exact flow turns abstract, confusing retirement advice into a really powerful, actionable checklist. Step 1, get the 401k match. If your employer offers a match, you contribute exactly enough to get it. Why? Because a dollar-for-dollar match is an immediate, guaranteed 100% return on your investment on day one. You literally cannot find that kind of return anywhere else in the financial world. It's free money. Step 2, once you've captured that match, you immediately pivot and focus on maxing out your IRA, your individual retirement account. The strategy here comes down to opportunity cost and control. An IRA typically gives you far better investment choices and significantly lower fees than a standard corporate 401k plan. And when those fees compound over 30 years, they can eat up hundreds of thousands of dollars of your potential wealth. Finally, step 3. If you still have money left over to save after maxing out the IRA, you go back and continue funding the 401k up to its legal limit. It is just an incredibly simple A to B to C roadmap for your wealth that optimizes for both free money and low costs. Which brings us to Section 3, protecting your financial future, the battle between term life and whole life insurance. So we've talked a lot about growing your money, but this third crossroad focuses entirely on the defensive side of wealth. How do you protect what you're building? And more importantly, how do you do it without getting completely ripped off? Well, before we compare the two main types of life insurance, we have to understand a very specific piece of industry jargon, cash value. You are going to hear this term constantly if you ever talk to an insurance salesperson. Cash value is an integrated savings or investment component found in whole life insurance. This feature acts as the core differentiator from term life insurance, which has absolutely zero investment component whatsoever.
It's essentially pitched to you as an embedded savings account inside your insurance policy. Sounds amazing, right? Well, there is a distinct reason you hear about this feature so much. Whole life policies carry massive, highly lucrative commissions for the agent selling them, sometimes up to the entire first year's premium. That is exactly why it's pitched so aggressively. So let's strip away the sales pitch for a second and look at the actual mechanics.
When you break down these two paths mechanically, the differences are honestly wild. Term life gives you exactly what you need, pure protection. The cost is remarkably low, and the duration is for a set term, say 10, 20, or 30 years. It is perfectly designed to cover you exactly during the years you need it most, like when your kids are growing up or you're paying off a massive mortgage. And the investment component? None. It does one job and it does it perfectly. Whole life, on the other hand, is lifelong, well, as long as you keep paying the premiums. The investment component is that cash value we just defined, and because of that, the cost is absolutely astronomical. Whole life basically tries to mix insurance and investing together into one product, and because of the massive fees and commissions dragging it down, it usually ends up being pretty terrible at both. The financial impact of this choice is massive. The difference in monthly premium costs for the exact same death benefit is night and day. A term life policy is going to free up hundreds of dollars in your budget every single month. A whole life policy, that's going to seriously drain your cash flow. This stark reality is exactly why the proven path to building wealth is to always buy term and invest the difference. Just think about the opportunity cost here. If you take the hundreds of dollars you save every month by choosing term life, and you push that money right back into those low-cost index funds in your IRA we just talked about in step 2, you are looking at hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of dollars in compounded growth over 30 years. That is how you build real wealth, rather than just enriching an insurance agent. All right, finally, section 4, the ultimate wealth strategy.
This brings us to the culmination of everything we've discussed today. Mindset, growth, and protection. They all tie together into a single, totally sustainable strategy that you can use for the rest of your life. Honestly, I want to burn this phrase into your mind. True wealth is quiet. Fake wealth is loud. Everyday wealth building is a commitment to the boring, effective reality of personal finance. It is maximizing that 401k match. It's buying low-cost index funds and an IRA. And it's buying a simple, cheap term life insurance policy to protect your family while you invest the difference. That is quiet. What's loud? Leased supercars, going into massive debt for status symbols, and buying insanely expensive, complicated whole life insurance policies just because some influencer pitched it to you on TikTok. You have to completely ignore the noise and confidently stick to the quiet, proven path.
So I'm going to leave you with this final thought to chew on today. Are you building wealth to buy your freedom, or are you just trying to buy an audience? When you truly unpack that question for yourself, all those A versus B financial decisions we just explored become incredibly easy to make. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Stay focused out there, and I'll see you next time.